This video I'm going to chit chat about things that I've been doing in the past 3-4 weeks or so, and kind of sharing with you what I've been going through. So I'm going to touch on interview that I had with Meta. If you're my coworker and watching this, don't worry, I am not leaving, but I just want to chat a little bit about that. And then also getting a little bit on fertility, specifically egg freezing. So I want to touch on that just because I find that, I think a majority of the people who watch this are women. And if you're a guy, that's totally fine. You can learn a little bit more as well about egg freezing and what all this means. And one more thing is that I've been doing this Google certificate. Specifically, it is the Google UX certificate. I'm really just kind of exploring that because I don't really know what I want to do with my career at this point. I've been doing the same thing more or less for about a decade now, and I'm really wondering, I still have probably 30 more years of work left in me. So I'm really wondering, is that what I really want to do for the rest of my life, or do I want to try something else? So I've been doing this certificate and, just seeing where things go. So you're welcome to listen in and, share your thoughts as well with me, because I find that a lot of times women, we just don't share a whole lot publicly with each other or even with our close friends. So I feel like, hoping that this is a forum for us to kind of connect with one another and maybe share a little bit more and learn from each other. So I'm gonna get started. So maybe about, I want to say 3 weeks or so ago, I got an email from a Facebook, now Meta, recruiter asking me if I'm interested in this communications role. So then I was like, sure, why not? I'll interview and see how things go. So basically got through to the first interview with the recruiter, and then I also met directly with the VP, which is kind of odd. But anyways, so went through that experience, and then I realized that I don't think that team is really for me. And some people wonder oh, why are you entertaining this interview? Or are you thinking of switching? So if you are my coworker and watching this, the answer is no. I am not planning on switching and going over to Meta. The reason why I took it on is because I find that I just really want to know where my skill set is currently at compared to the industry. Because truth be told, I haven't been interviewing for a while, and I've been in my job for about 3.5 years now. So I really don't know where I sit. So, if you are also somebody that's been in their role for a very long time, I think it's actually a good best practice to figure out, where do you stack up against everybody else out there? I know the competition is really, really stiff, just because a bunch of people are getting laid off. So you have this massive pool of the best talent in the world all looking for a job, right? So I think it's really cool just to interview and see what it's like for a big tech firm like that and what the interview process was like. And, some things that I learned was that they don't actually ask questions the way I've been researching about. And the questions they ask is very conversational, and maybe it's just that for that specific team, but I don't know, it wasn't really for me. The more I chatted with the other individual, I just felt like, what they're looking for is not necessarily within my skill set. I do more internal communications, and I felt like that individual was looking for a PR person specifically for that VP. So, overall though, it was a really, really interesting experience, to say none the least. It just feels very honored, humbling. I learned a lot. I actually prepped a lot for this interview, and I also had to do a writing prompt. And I think that's something that's so interesting is that, when you're going into your first job or second job, you're always thinking that, what can I do to impress the other person so they'll like me and that they'll hire me? But I find that as you get older and maybe you have a bit more experience, you're also evaluating them. Are they a good fit for you when you're going to work there? Because you gotta realize, you're with these people for 8 hours a day and at a minimum 1 year, right? So you kind of want to make it work. Oh my God, I'm losing my breath here talking about this. And we have this cute doggo of mine just, chilling, being cute, sunbathing what's left of the sun for the rest of the day. So something else I've been doing, as I mentioned before, is egg freezing. So for anyone who doesn't know, I am currently 34, and by the time you are 35, you are at a higher risk of not being able to conceive a child just because of naturally how old you are. So I mean, I have been thinking of whether I wanted to talk about this or not, to be honest. And I think all in all, the reason why I want to talk about it just briefly is because when I was trying to find resources online or even groups that I could join to chat about this and to learn a bit more from other women, there weren't really a ton of resources around this. I think there are a lot more conversation around IVF specifically, but when I came to just egg freezing itself, there weren't very many people out there talking about this. So basically, maybe people are wondering like, oh, why are you thinking of doing this, etc. I mean, one of the things is that knowing my current age, I know that, you know, what's in here is not necessarily, you know, it is aging, and it's not like I could use retinol or like do Botox and stuff like that to preserve the health quality of them. So I decided to pursue egg freezing. So this whole process actually is pretty long. I would say going from the initial consultation, getting the blood work, even finding the clinic and getting an appointment takes a very long time. And I want to say that I started this entire process back in summer 2022. So more than 6 months ago was when I first looked into this process and, you know, putting the request in for a referral, etc. Like it took a really long time. So this process has been like, honestly, I don't know how to put it. Like it's both good and bad. Good in a way that I am protecting myself from the future, and I think my future me is going to really appreciate this thing that I'm doing for myself now. And the bad side of it, I think, is that it is quite an invasive process to get this done, because what happens is that you essentially get the lower part of your body going through anesthesia, and then they use, basically you're undergoing a slight surgery to get the eggs retrieved, basically how it works. I have been documenting it here and there. I don't really know if I want to share the entire video in terms of like what my thoughts have been and, you know, what every appointment looks like. I have been like documenting just for myself, but you know, if you're interested, let me know, or you can just DM me or send me a message. I'm happy to share more information about it with you. I know one of the top questions asked about this is essentially how much it costs. Right? And everyone knows that this is a very expensive thing to do, and I have to say this is in fact indeed a very privileged thing to do, and by no means is this something that, you know, I feel like I am very fortunate that I have the ability to do it, and it is also because my work insurance covers this as well. So to give everyone a bit of a perspective on how much this costs. So in Canada, where I live, a procedure for egg freezing, including the basically the entire procedure itself plus the medication, could range between, I want to say, $15,000 to $20,000, depending on when you get your medication as well and the complexity of your process of doing egg freezing. So egg freezing essentially is the first part of what everyone would go through IVF, right? The only difference is that you're not doing a sperm injection. You're just essentially grabbing the eggs, freezing them, and then when it's time that you do want to have kids, you can then thaw them and then, you know, insert a sperm in and then pop them into your body and see if an embryo forms, etc. So that essentially is the process in a nutshell. But yeah, I've made the choice to do it. It basically consists of a series of medication like birth control to start, and then you start doing your injections. So I am starting my injections fairly soon, so you may not see me on here as much, but I'll try my best and give an update and things like that. I think it's really important just to share a bit of knowledge, because I think it's so taboo to talk about this in the Asian culture specifically. Like people just don't want to talk about fertility or infertility, things that they've tried. And I think there's so much power to this if we all share our resources versus just solving it on our own, which sometimes doesn't work because you're only as far as what Google search results give you, right? But a lot of this is, life experience and anecdotes and whatnot. So, yeah. Also, for anyone wondering, this is a spice grinder. This is not a meat grinder, okay? It's just a spice grinder because I don't have a pestle and mortar, whatever that grindy thing. So I use my spice grinder that I got. It's not the best, to be honest, but it works. So I've also been doing this UX course here, which is the Foundations of User Experience, so UX Design by Google. And I am maybe just honestly like 1/7 of the way in, but the reason why I've been, interested in doing this is because I remember even back in my university days, I really wanted to do design, and I never ended up doing design because, my family and just being Asian, like doing marketing or business was the way to go. And honestly, that's what I did. I did my degree in business and I did a marketing degree in that and a management information systems, so which is MIS. And then in the end, I just went with it, and I've been in this career path for like maybe 10 years now or so. And now I'm really wondering, like people have like quarter life crisis and whatnot, and I feel like I'm hitting this like decade crisis in my career now where I'm really thinking, what do I actually want to do? And one of the things that resurfaced was user experience design, because I was trying to think of what is something that I love to do and that I'm interested in, right? And some of the things came up was, I would say I'm quite an empathetic person, and that I like to solve problems and I like to make people feel connected with one another. So one of the things I considered was like HR. Another path was like UX, because it has elements of, user experience. How can I make a product or an experience better for people? How can these products help connect people as well? So that is kind of the reason why I decided to do this UX course. Like, I know I've read a few reviews online, and some of them do say like, it's not the best course, if you've got experience and things like that. And I mean, honestly, coming from someone that knows nothing about UX and just like very little touch points here and there, like, I feel like it's actually not bad. And my takeaway, my goal for this course, honestly, is if I can learn even one thing from this course, I think it's great. So I decided to go for this. I am paying for this. It is anticipated that it takes about 3 months or so to complete. Fingers crossed that that's the case for me, because every month I'm paying $50 towards this to get a certificate. And I think honestly for me, I know people have said like, you don't really need the certificate. You can just audit the course and learn the stuff for free. But I have to say that knowing that I'm paying $50 every single month to this really keeps me motivated. And the course is designed honestly pretty well. It keeps you accountable for, when the assignments are due and things like that. So honestly, it's been going so pretty well, and I don't really know where this is gonna go in terms of whether this is going to end up being like a career, full-on career, or whether this is going to be something that I enjoy doing and I love to learn about. We'll see where things go, but I am just excited and open to seeing what this whole thing brings for me. And I find a lot of times is that when we're younger, we're forced to learn and we don't actually want to learn. We're just kind of taking things in. We're not really absorbing any of it. But now when we're older, we're actually able to, choose what we want to learn and then actually put time into doing it. So, that's honestly been what's going on. What else? Finance-wise, I've got the American Express Platinum card, which is this metal card. It sounds really fancy. The annual fee is also very fancy, which I'm not a fan of. But I figured, you know, if I've got this big cost coming up, and I might as well swipe a card and get some points and some welcome bonuses. So I decided to go for that and see, you know, where things land with that card. I don't really know if I'm going to keep it yet, so I'm going to try to maximize the benefits this year and decide, you know, this is something I want to keep. One of the reasons why I am choosing this card purposely is because I do potentially have 2 international trips coming up for me this year near the end of the year. So I want to take advantage of the lounge passes for both ways, for 2 of the bigger trips, and also basically cashing in on the welcome bonus since I've got this massive bill for the egg freezing that's coming up. So might as well make something out of it. So that said though, I know this was a very rambly video. It is a little bit different from the other styles of video that I've had. Just wanted to give everyone like a real experience of what my life is actually like. I think this year I'm very hopeful. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of stuff done, both in my personal life, my career, and also just excited to see where things go. So if anyone has any questions, please do drop me a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'd love to see you all in the next one. And maybe I'll have a better update then. And if you're interested in like an egg freezing journey video, I might make one, so we'll see. But let me know. Bye! I just want to show you how wild this weather is. I don't know if you can see, if you look very closely, you'll see that there's snow.